And I'm going to read the script. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio-video recorded. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission is being held at Zoom. The link appears in the agenda. As always, the agenda is posted on the town calendar and the town website, as are all meeting agendas. There's a hyperlink there you can just click on to get to it. But the meeting ID is 834-3042-3637. And the passcode is 406418. I'm Bob Pease. I'm the chair. We'll just do a roll call, make sure everybody can hear us. Katie Childs.
Here.
Mary Wilson.
Here.
Rich Tremblay.
Here.
And I don't believe that Jeff Viviano, Mike LaRouche, or Richard Bursch are with us right now. So we barely have a quorum. Public comments. Do any members of the commission have any public comment? Take this silence as a no. Is there any public comment from members of the public? I'll take that as a no. First thing on the agenda is minutes of the previous meeting. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of our previous meeting, which I believe was our most the shortest meeting ever.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. We have a new public hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a request of determination of applicability by Michael and Denise Tufts for installation of roof structure on the patio at 48 Oak Ridge. Do we have someone here for 48 Oak Ridge?
Yes, Mike Tufts.
Okay, Mike, would you like to share your screen, or would you like us to have our conservation administrator do that to show us the commissioners, what you're proposing?
I would like Annie to do that, please. Thank you.
All right.
One moment.
Thank you, Anna.
All right. So I can also represent the homeowners in this, Mike, if you would like me to do so as well.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this originally was an enforcement order before I came on. It's been on the list of enforcement orders for a while now due to change of administration. So it's just a lingering topic. So pretty much it is this roof structure here. It is semi-permanent, so you can see it's just kind of metal and screwed in. It's not cemented into the block. It is smaller than the existing patio structure. It just the roof line here just meets the already existing patio. So originally, yes, for the enforcement order was this being put up. I will also say that the homeowners were given misleading information in the beginning, so this is why it was sort of, passed by up. So this is them submitting their request for determination for this install of this roof structure. And so, let's see, what pictures actually, it's gonna be up. It is definitely within 30-foot buffer, I should say, probably like 25 to 30. Let's see, you get a good picture. Right here, you can see the water drips from the top of the structure, so it definitely is like not hanging over this already existing patio structure. And I guess that's pretty much it, and hope to move along and finish off this and get rid of the enforcement order for them.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from members of the commission? Rich Tremblay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the only thing we're discussing tonight the roof? The existing patio was already in place there, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, this patio here, it was already there. It's already existing. It was just this roof structure that was put up after the fact.
All right. And what is the distance from the end of that to the water? Do we know?
I don't know the exact, but I would say probably like 25.
So it's inside of 30 foot?
Yes, definitely like the patio would be definitely within that, but the roof structure is smaller, but it's probably how much it stretches out. It's definitely within the 30.
All right, so if we went back to the 50-foot no build, that would be back even farther onto the patio deck, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the actual size of the roof? Do we know the dimensions, how big it is?
I think Mike, you might have a better idea, but I think it was like 16.
Yes, it's 16 by 16.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all I had.
Thank you. Is there any other comments or questions from commissioners? Are there any comments or questions from members of the public? Hearing no comments, I'll offer my comments. I mean, I suppose technically, it's within the, sounds like it's within the no disturb zone. It's within the no structure zone, but it's over an existing patio. And I have no trouble with this on a personal level, and I'll be voting for a negative determination, but that's just my 2 cents. Looking for a motion then. Would someone like to make a motion?
Bob, this is Mary, and I apologize, I don't have the agenda up in front of me. This is an RDA that we're.
This is an RDA.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the RDA with a negative determination.
Thank you very much, Mary. Do we have a
Second.
second? All right, we have a second. All right, we're on a roll here. Roll call vote. Katie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
aye for myself. Thank you for your patience with the commission, Mr. Tufts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All righty. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended. In the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a request for determination of applicability by Tanner Cole for the proposed placement of bank run gravel and 2 solid drainage pipes at 1083 Northfield Road. Is someone here for Tanner? Oh, I see Tanner himself is here.
I am, thank you.
Son of a gun, I hadn't noticed you before. So Tanner, would you like Anna to share her screen, or would you like to do that? How do you want to proceed?
If Anna wants to share her screen, I know she's taken a couple of pictures before the snow fell. I can give you a quick synopsis of what we've got going on over there. Whatever works.
I hear you're cutting down trees.
So the parcel I own is in chapter 61. It's been in chapter under the forest stewardship program for about 8 years now, might be a little bit longer than that. And so we filed the forest cutting plan, I want to say about 2 years ago at this point, and we were just waiting for the weather conditions to improve. And so during that cold spell, we started the timber harvest. And essentially, we're using the existing driveway that I've had on the property since I bought it. And the gentleman doing the timber harvest asked me to place some gravel just to stabilize the driveway and provide safe access for the trucks. And so I did that. The state forester who's overseeing the project wanted your review because in his mind, these are more permanent improvements. And so that's why I'm here before you this evening. But this was the existing driveway. Essentially what happened was a couple of years ago, the town updated the culverts on the road and in the process redirected some of the flow of the water. And unfortunately now it's directed at my entrance to the property. Prior to that, this was always a pretty dry spot. The water made its way through my property further back. But essentially we raised the grade about 12 inches or so. The entire area is about 15 feet wide, which was the minimum width to be able to get a truck in. And from the edge of my property, it goes in about 30 feet or so.
So Tanner, do I understand that the work has already occurred and this is a retroactive filing?
Yes. So what you see right now is the extent of the work that was done. And I asked the state forester about the work that we were doing. He was actually there when I brought the first load of gravel, and he didn't really have any issues with it. And then further on down the line, I think he reconsidered and said, geez, I'd really like conservation to take a look at this. So that's where we're at.
Is there a picture that shows where the two pipes are?
So that picture there, you can see the crushed stone. Just before the straw wattle, you can see there's a black pipe right there.
Okay,
And the next one is just beyond the tree stump. One of them's an 8-inch pipe, one of them's a 10-inch pipe. So I believe that's the 8-inch pipe there. So this would be on the east side. The driveway basically runs north to south. So this is the east side of the driveway. And the other pipe is just a little further in on the property. So.
thank you, Tanner. Are any questions or comments from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is Mary.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So I had the benefit of doing a site walk with Anna and Tanner. It was after some snowfall had come, so everything wasn't quite as clear as this. But in my opinion, it seems like what he's doing there is reasonable and provides for the safety of ingress and egress from that logging parcel, and to try to ask him to do anything different or to provide a routing in and out someplace different would be a lot more, would disturb the area a lot more. So anyway, that's my opinion, having walked the site with him.
Thank you, Mary. Is there any other comments or questions from commissioners? And Mary, thank you so much for going on the site walk. Any comments or questions from members of the public? I'm looking for a motion relative to this RDA for a negative determination.
So moved.
I would second that. This is Mary.
All right, motion and seconded. Roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Now that we're all done, I have a question for Anna.
Yes,
So Anna, are those wetlands that we're looking at there?
those,
Or are they just wet areas?
it's wet areas just because of the recent work. So originally that didn't have a lot of water. And actually, let me see if I have pictures of, I mean, around it was delineated, so surrounding. But then as you get closer to that driveway, it's hard because it's like a definite line of where wetlands are and then when they're technically not, because that area is flooding out more.
Now that it's all, I wanted the project to pass, so I didn't bring this up before, but I mean, I don't see why this wasn't an NOI. Because it definitely looks like it's in the wetlands, if those are indeed wetlands, so.
Well, I guess my only point along those lines is this was always the driveway.
Yeah,
This was disturbed, probably 50, 60, 70 years ago at this point.
yeah,
There was always an opening in the wall there, and that was the primary means of egress in and out of the property. None of that has changed.
okay,
What has changed is when the town updated the catch basin at the top of the road, instead of directing the culvert directly into my property, they ran about 50 or 75 feet of pipe down the hill along the stone wall. And so now the water, instead of actually, prior to them replacing that catch basin, it exited onto my neighbor's property and ran through my neighbor's property and then came down the hill to me. So now it runs parallel to Northfield Road for a ways and then drops into this area. So
did you go
this-
to the town calendar? Oh, 1 second. One moment, public, I got a commissioner on the phone here. I will text you the link. How's that? You bet. Please bear with me. I'm texting the link for this meeting to a commissioner who wants to join the meeting.
yeah, no worries.
Those are good points, Tanner. Those are good points. Why this should be an RDA rather than NOI, and we already voted, so it's moot at this point.
Yep.
I was just asking, our relatively new administrator, just for my own information.
Yeah, and I think as Mary stated earlier, this is really the least invasive way to do things. It uses the existing driveway. The work has been done, and it's all permeable. I have no intentions of paving anything. There's no structures on the property. There's no lawns on the property. This is just land and forestry at this point. So I'd like to maintain that driveway so that for future harvest, we have a good access point. And if I want to make use of the property and, take my kids out there and camp and whatever, I got a good spot where I can get off the
Yep.
road. That's all. So,
Camping sounds like a great idea, Canner.
yeah, there's a good spot out there.
Nice.
So, but excellent. Well, thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Tanner.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, Tanner. Mr. Chairman, I mean, just for socializing background too, when I came off of the site walk, I went and looked at the DEP Mass Mapper resource, and
Yep.
I didn't see any recognized wetlands in the area of that driveway. Does it mean that there hasn't been something that's been naturalized there since it was last mapped, but there wasn't anything on the DEP
Yeah,
resource.
let's see. Well, I was gonna text this to Mike, but I guess I'm not able to do that. I guess I'll have to email it to him and hope that he's got email on his phone.
Mr. Chairman, if you would like, I can text it to him.
Hey, that'd be super.
Okay, I will do that.
You're the best, Mary. Thank you so much. On to our next agenda item. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended. In the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for an amended order of conditions by Jessica Santos for the proposed relocation of a shared driveway at 759 and 763 Northfield Road, DEP number 208-1187. Who is here for that?
Myself, sir, Chris Anderson with Hannigan Engineering.
Oh, hi, Chris. How are you?
Pretty good yourself.
Marvelous. So you want to share your screen or you want Anna to do it?
Sure, if that works for you guys.
That'd be great.
All right. So can everybody see my screen now?
I can see the screen. Speaking for myself.
Just for the record, Chris Anderson with Hannigan Engineering, here on behalf of Jessica Santos for a request for an amendment to a order of conditions. This project, just to recap for some of the commission members who weren't around back when this came through, this was back done during the wonderful time of 2020. The commission issued an order of conditions for the construction of a shared driveway to serve 2 single-family homes on the property. Since that time, the property has been formally subdivided into 3 different lots, with the current landowner looking to relocate the proposed common drive on the property. So originally, the driveway was located approximately 30 feet closer to the wetland than currently shown. Under the original approval, we had the edge of the driveway approximately 40 feet from the wetland, with a series of retaining walls and a drainage pipe that would allow for the continued flow of stormwater through the ditch that runs along Northfield Road.
So Chris,
Yep.
can you wiggle your cursor or somewhere to show where this driveway is that you're talking about on the screen I'm looking at?
Yeah, no, I got a better plan that might be a little bit better for the commission to see. So as you can see here, this dark red line was the originally approved driveway. What we're
Okay.
doing or proposing to do is shift the driveway about 30 feet further away upland from the bordering vegetated wetland that's located within the drainage ditch. By doing this, we're eliminating the relocation of a utility pole, as well as some other features that are located along the road. In addition to that, we're also eliminating the need for a retaining wall. Now it's just going to be gradually sloped off and loamed and seeded for permanent stabilization. We're still intending on utilizing a beehive grate with a drop inlet on the upstream side of the driveway with a 24-inch concrete pipe that'll be located within the ditch. That will then discharge into a riprap apron with a check dam going towards the wetland itself. We're intending on maintaining the original approved limits of construction for the riprap itself, primarily just to provide that extra little bit of protection of the stormwater as it goes down the drainage ditch. We're just increasing the riprap length to help reduce the velocity for the purposes of construction and long-term longevity of the area. Besides that, pretty much everything is remaining the same. There's no proposed modifications to the wells, the septics, or the remaining portions of the driveway minus this relocation to get it further away from the wetland. Pretty much it. If there's any questions from the commission, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
I have a couple questions. Is this a shared driveway or not?
That's shared driveway.
And is it still gonna straddle the property line on the first, for the first 50 feet?
It will, the property line will have to be relocated to shift to correlate with that shift in the driveway.
I see. And have you gone through planning with that yet?
Have to go in front of them for the scenic road, because we are removing a few trees within the right of way.
That's where I was headed next, about the whole scenic road stone wall business, so. But that's not a Conservation Commission issue. That was more a matter of personal curiosity. Any comments or questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yep.
Chris, if you would just point out what the previous route of the driveway was. Is red the new or the previous?
The previous driveway route that we were intending.
Okay, then the actual drawing itself in gray or charcoal there is the the amended proposal.
Yeah. Let me get you a different color, if you will. I apologize. To help clean everything up a little bit.
I do like colors.
It's one of the joys of the remote working or remote meeting thing here. So the blue lines here would be the proposed driveway relocation.
Okay. So you're essentially moving the driveway farther away from the wetlands.
We are relocating the driveway further away from the wetlands and keeping the original limit of disturbance within the 30-foot buffer to allow for additional riprap to be placed within the drainage ditch to slow down the velocity of the water in that during the wetter portions of the year.
That's quite a hill coming down that section of the road right there. So anything we can do to slow that velocity, I think, is a very good thing. Thank you. I have no further questions.
It sounds like a win to me for the Inland Wetlands Act. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Any comments or questions from members of the public? This is an amended order of conditions. And so I'm looking for a motion to approve this amendment to this order of conditions.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, Katie,
aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Thank you, Mike. Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. And Mike, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
Sorry you had trouble getting in.
It's okay. Thank you, Mary, for giving me the directions.
Well,
It's a team effort.
she's a better at technology than I am, obviously. She does it for a living. So
Great, thank you
Chris, I
very
think
much.
you're all set.
Yep, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, in the Town of Lunenburg Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by John and Deborah Trainer for the proposed installation of a septic system and removal of an existing timber wall to be replaced with concrete blocks at 105 Horizon Island Road. And it looks like it does not yet have a DEP number. Who is here for this application?
I am Jack Maloney from Dillison Roy.
Jack, would you like to share your screen?
Sure.
Perfect.
How's that? Can everybody see that?
I can see, I don't know, I'm looking at the corner, but I absolutely can see your screen.
Okay. So we have Horizon Island. You can see my hand coming down here. We're at the very tip of Horizon Island Road. And let me just reduce this a little bit and slide this over. So we have the driveway that comes in from the cul-de-sac at Horizon Island Road, crosses over. Right now there's a culvert that crosses underneath here, and both sides right now are creosote soaked timbers that's in disrepair. That the culvert's actually collapsing. Part of this notice of intent is that we remove that pipe and redo those walls with concrete block walls. Danny Proctor's on the line here too with us. He'll be doing the work, but I believe that The walls that we're showing here are going to be the big block walls, as opposed to the other walls that I'll show you in a few minutes. We did a site walk with Anna. Well, Danny and I did a site walk with Anna about a week ago during the week, and we showed her the culvert. It's collapsed. Recently, over the last 10 or 15 years, there's no water that goes into that culvert. Water does get up to a certain point, but that culvert really serves no point or has no reason to be there anymore. Why it was put in there in the first place, we have no idea, because there's water all around this house. So our feeling is, let's just take it out, just put block wall back in and repair the driveway and move on. The bigger issue is the septic system. The current septic system is in failure, and we have proposed a geomat system. There are 2 geomat lines that are up in here. It's basically a pressure dose system. There will be a treatment tank, single air treatment tank has been proposed here to a pump chamber that will pump up to the geomat system. This area, it was going to be raised probably about 2.5 to 3 feet above existing grade now due to the water table. And because of that, to leave access between the proposed septic system and the deck and the house, we're proposing a block wall right in where my hand is here. And then there's an existing beach area that has an existing stone wall around it. And in order to maintain that beach, we are proposing another block wall on this side. They haven't come to terms on what type of wall that's going to be yet. It's more than likely it's going to be the small block landscaping wall, where they can curve it and maneuver it, make it look nice. This plan right now is currently in front of Jim Gareffi at Neshoba for review. Nothing has been approved yet on their end. We haven't gone before the Board of Health in Lunenburg either, so we're still in the review process with them. So other than that, basically you can see the edge of the water where my hand is here. It goes up and around the point and then comes back down on this side and wraps around into this little cove here. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. Any comments or questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go.
Jack, do you have a drawing that shows the existing trees on this parcel?
There is a tree that is right in this area where my hand is. It's an oak tree, and more than likely that is going to be coming down due to the construction because of the root location. If we get into that, you know, it's easier to take it down now than remove it once it has fallen or is in disrepair at that point. In this area at the end of the septic system, there is a cluster of small spruce trees in here. Other than that, the rest of this is pretty much wide open. It's all lawn area now.
Okay.
I don't have any pictures to show you.
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
no, I would just say, Jack, obviously, we're gonna continue tonight. I would hope that when you come back next week, in 2 weeks, there'll be something that, you know, shows the existing trees and indicates which, if any, you know, you're proposing to take down.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mary. Go ahead.
No, that was exactly where I was going, Mr. Chairman. Existing trees, there are a couple of like shrubby things at the perimeter too, within the 30-foot zone that I think we also want to have some traceability on. And that's my interest in having a really clear understanding of what trees are there, what trees might be affected. So that, you know, the commissioners have very clear visibility about what's happening there. And we have an opportunity to, you know, advise for some type of replacements or whatnot, if that's what we feel is in the best keeping with WPA.
Thank you so much, Mary. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? So you're proposing two walls here, I'm assuming, you're proposing to replace two walls on the causeway,
Correct.
and they're existing timber, and you were proposing to replace them with block, and you're proposing to take out the culvert entirely.
Correct.
And you're proposing to raise the grade over the septic system, and you're proposing, because of the raised grade, I'm assuming, put in two more walls. So because of the, otherwise the pitch would be steep, or it would be,
You'd have grading coming right back to the house, and we want to keep any runoff from any rain event away from the house.
and-
Underneath, you can't see it, but underneath this deck, there's a doorway to get into the crawl space below the first floor elevation here. So that's one of the reasons why we kept this block wall at least 3 feet off the edge of the
Yeah.
deck. And we're also showing a little bit of a swale to keep that water pitching away from the house instead of gathering at the house or heading into that crawl space area.
Well, I'm happy to hear you're raising the grade, because this is one of there's like 3 houses on the lake that every time I go by them in my boat, I wonder how in the world do they have a working septic system? So,
And the biggest thing is we're adding treatment here too, Bob, and obviously because of the location to the lake,
yep,
and being sensitive to any nitrogen removal and whatnot from the effluent. So
thank you. Well, Jack, I'll give you the same talk I give everyone. You probably heard it before about, sometimes you have to take and get a copy of your canceled check and send it to the reviewer. In order to expedite the, review of your application.
give DEP a little poke. Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
Yeah. At least, I mean, I don't know what the situation is now, but it used to be it's pretty standard that the delay, the issuance of the DEP number was being held up because Boston, wherever you send the checks in Boston, hadn't given the reviewer notice that payment had been received. And that was the holdup. And so my standard speech I give to NOI applicants is, get a copy of your canceled check and reach out to Anna, and she can give you the contact information for the reviewer.
Okay, will do.
But other than that, other than the trees, and if Richard Birch is here, when you come back, I'm sure he'll have some more questions about putting the walls up within the 50-foot no structure zone. So be prepared, to have some, have some rebuttal for some pushback on that. So
All right, so in regards to, while we're all here, in regards to the wall that's on the top of the plan, right in here,
yeah,
that's basically holding back a few more feet of fill laterally, so we're not
Yep.
filling actually right down to the water's edge.
yep,
So, we're actually trying to keep that back as far as way as we can. And you can see right in here, this is the 30-foot no touch zone. So, I mean, we have a very small area that we're working with, and we can't keep everything inside of that, unfortunately, on this lot.
yep. I'm very familiar with the house and the lot, and so,
Okay,
all right. I'm looking for a
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, go ahead.
if I would, please, Dave, I was just reviewing the photos while you and Jack were talking. So I do think it's very important to have all the trees within the 50-foot zone mapped on this, right? There are a lot of trees around that culvert and the driveway wall. And then there are a handful of trees around the deck area and then around the sheds. And I would look to have accountability for those trees in the drawing.
And Jack, you're going to have those also. I agree with Mary, and you're going to want to have them on there because if we start talking about replacement trees, you're gonna want to be able to show, well, there's already trees here, or there's not already trees there kind of thing. So I
Okay.
second Mary's request.
Gotcha. Alrighty, next meeting 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion to continue until March 15th.
So moved.
Second,
second,
All right, roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
aye.
I for myself.
All right, thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you, Jack. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and in Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public meeting on a request for determination of applicability by PJ Keating Company for the proposed removal of accumulated sediment and phragmites from an existing detention basin at 400 Leominster Shirley Road. Is someone here for this application?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Doug Vigno from PJ Keating, along with Rob Robinson, who's the VP of our aggregate operations. I'm the environmental compliance manager.
All right,
So, Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners, as stated, basically, we want to perform some maintenance work on an existing detention basin located immediately off 400 Leominster Shirley Road. So the detention basin has been present since at least 2008, according to our records and aerial photography. And it appears the detention basin presently, and I can show you some of the plans, receives drainage directly from Leominster Shirley Road. If you're familiar with the parcel, it's very steep, it heads up to the PJ Keating facility. It's right across from the brand new warehouse that was recently constructed on Leominster Shirley Road. So aside from receiving stormwater directly from Leominster Shirley Road, it in the past had received overtop water through an underground pipe from our final settling basin that's located right in that corner as well. So the way our system works is we have a recirculating water system within the stone plant, so that when the water comes out, it has some washed stone fines in it because it goes through the wash plant. We wash the stone. People don't want to get dusty stone. They want it clean so that when they put in a septic system or drainage, so on and so forth, there's no clogging that can occur from those fines. So we wash those stones on a regular basis. That slurry, so to speak, then goes into our initial detention pond, where we have a sort of a circuitous system where the sediment settles out. It then goes into a secondary basin where it continues to settle, and then it goes into the final settling basin that I'm referring to here. It's that final settling basin that has we will have it historically would drain at about elevation 308, back probably from what we're told, about 2010 or so. The pipe that drained that pipe under certain hydrologic conditions, and when I say that, that means that when we're not operating our facility, we don't need the water that accumulates in that final pond, then the pond can rise because we're not recirculating around our system. So we don't operate the stone plant basically from, say, mid-December to mid-March. It's during that period and during the spring freshet that we might get additional water into that final settling basin that needs to escape. Otherwise, the pond will just overflow on its own. Until the new warehouse was constructed, and while the pipe had been blocked in the past, that water really just kind of drained to the adjacent property and infiltrated into that land. The adjacent property was PJ Keating Trust land as well, so there wasn't an issue with anything like that. And it wasn't like it went across the entire property. It literally just went in, settled out, It's a bony, sandy, situation over in that lot. Well, now with the detention, now with the warehouse there, that infiltration is lost. We can't send the water to that location any longer. So we need to reopen this pipe, reactivate the pipe that historically had been there, and have an ability to overflow into this detention basin that we want to clean out, maintain. The only reason it hasn't been maintained for a certain number of years is basically because we weren't sending any water into it. The only water that was getting into that detention basin was strictly coming off of Leominster Shirley Road. The town has been down there in the past, done some work to make sure that the water enters into that detention basin as well. So the DPW is aware as well that that water enters at that location. The detention basin itself is about 8,000 square feet.
Do
It's
we
some-
have any plans or photos, sir?
Yes, we certainly do.
We like plans and we like photos.
Okay, well, this is my first here, so I apologize that I wasn't bringing them up sooner. Let me share, let me see. The photos and the plans were in our submittal. How do I share my screen? There we go, share screen, okay. So share screen 2. Share. Okay, can you folks see this?
Yes.
Okay, super. Okay, so let me go back up a little bit here. So there's the locus on Leominster Shirley Road. This is where our plant is up here. This is the steep portion of it that comes down. And obviously this is kind of the low point in the road as shown by, the wetlands that are present here now. This pond right here is what we call our final settling basin. And typically there's it doesn't look exactly like this now. I have a better one in a moment, but basically our wash fines go in here, then they go into the secondary basin, you go into this. When we're operating, there's a pump here and we drain the water from this pump to go back up into the wash plant. And it's a recirculating system. So during drought situations and whatnot, and most times of the year, water is a critical entity for us, so we try and keep it as much on site as possible. This is our stormwater pollution prevention plan as well that we've included here. It shows our various settling basins as well. Let me open that up, make it a little bit bigger for you all. And again, you can see where the water enters, settling basin 2, settling basin 3, final settling basin. And here's the line that comes across. It's a 24-inch reinforced concrete pipe, and it goes into this detention basin here. This detention basin then has an overflow underneath a haul road or an access road that exists currently. And then that goes into the wetland in this location. Just so you know, we have a EPA NPDES permit that allows us to have this configuration and discharge from the detention basin this detention basin, I apologize, across this haul road and into this wetland here. Historically, since I've been there about 4 years, we've never had a discharge that we've had to sample because there's just not the sufficient amount of water to require sampling. So in the
Sir, can I
future,
ask,
yes, sir.
where is on this diagram would that new warehouse be?
Right here.
That's what I
There's
thought.
there's Lafarge Concrete. The new warehouse is right in this location.
All right, that's what I thought. I was just checking.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chairman. The Lafarge is here and the warehouse is here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So that's essentially it. So this pipe here currently, we've looked at it. We know that at this end of it right here, the pipe is crushed. We've excavated it and looked at it. We also know that the pipe is full of sediment. And so what we're proposing to do is jet line that pipe and clean the sediment out of it, capture the sediment here, And also that will be part of the overall cleaning out of the detention basin. If the pipe is found to be unsuitable, if it's just, not in a shape that we can just jet it and use it again, we would replace the pipe with another 24-inch RCP at the inverts that we have on either side. Now, fortunately, Hannigan Engineering did a lot of the work for us, because on behalf of PJ Keating Trust, they delineated the wetlands. This is the beginning of the detention basin right here. Here's the pipe isn't shown on this plan, but I have one that is shown, but it basically comes across here and empties into this portion of the detention basin. Unfortunately, the plans are split into two, and I'll show you the next one in a moment. So it comes into this detention basin, and I'll scroll down. And again, the commission had already accepted this in a previous RDA for the wetlands delineations. So we just kind of took Hannigan's information. We're working with the developers of the warehouse. They know about this, what we're doing, and obviously they want to see this reopened. And here's the other side of the detention basin. And again, it's only about 8,000 square feet. Here's that line that comes across and enters into a wetland complex. This wetland complex basically runs all the way down along Leominster Shirley Road, all the way into Shirley, which is the line is right here, and continues on down quite a ways. It's quite a large wetland complex. So, and then this particular plan here, just, well, I'm gonna go down further. It's just, I did, wait a second, yeah. Yes,
That's the town well over there.
there's a yeah.
And this is just regular surface water you're discharging and running down toward that well, or is it like been used to wash stone, or what's the nature of the water that's gonna run under the access road down toward the well?
Sure. So the water is a very clean. We will be putting in what we call a stovetop basin in it. So we'll draw the water from the top of the water column, not down in the bottom. So all these detention basins settle out the suspended solids. We're required by EPA to sample for turbidity, total suspended solids, and as well as pH and dissolved oxygen. So the water that comes into this wetland complex is very clean, but moreover, unless that well is under the influence of a surface water, which I don't believe it is, then in other words, we don't see the wetlands being drawn down during the summer when those wells are pumping. So if that were the case, is what's called the surface water treatment rule, then the town of Lunenburg would need to treat that water in a water treatment facility. So they're careful not to be drawing down surface water into the well. They're merely getting groundwater. So it's very unlikely that the water that is on the surface would be entering that well in any event. It's otherwise they would have to treat the water, which I don't believe they do for anything other than, just the raw basics of hard water or something along those lines. In other words, they dose their water. They don't treat the water. It doesn't go through a filtration system. So we're just pretty confident, sir, that when we have had these discussions previously, that the surface water is very unlikely to enter the well complex. This is a picture of the basin as it currently stands. We have, our typical barrier rock so that machinery can't just enter into it. But as you can see, it's filled with Phragmites. And there's just a series of photos that show that. Again, here it is. You can see some ice on top of it here. If you look to the far side over here, you can see that this was a built detention basin at the time. That's a rock, kind of a rock revetment, so to speak, and that encircles the entire detention basin. So it was clearly constructed for the purposes of acting like a detention basin. This shows the water running down, where the water would run down Leominster Shirley Road and enter into the detention basin itself. This patchwork here has to do with some of the work that was required for the warehouse. And that's why the patching is there now. And this is just sort of a close-up that shows how the water enters in from Leominster Shirley Road as well.
And where is that picture relative to the gate to the, to the access road?
So it's, that picture is down about right here. And the access road is here.
Okay. Sir, we have a commissioner who's had his hand up for a while, and I'd like to call on him to see what he wants to ask.
Oh, sure.
Mike LaRouche.
Hey, Douglas, I'm just gonna ask the question. Is the stone that gets washed, is it only washed with water, or is there some agent assisting that water or that stone wash?
No, yeah, it's strictly water. There's no, nothing like an alum or anything to take, strictly water.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Mike?
No, that's it.
Thank you so much. So, do you have, Anna, do we have the part of the RDA that specifically describes what's requested here? I mean, I know the advertisement talks about removal of accumulated settlement and phragmites from an existing detention basin. It sounds like they also want to jet the pipe. Are there any other asks here? And and how much sediment are they going to be deepening the detention basin? Are they just going to be removing the phragmites? I mean, what kind of description do we have for exactly what the ask is here? Either Anna or Doug or Robert.
Okay, Chairman, I'll take it on. Basically, when we came to the conclusion that we were going to begin to use the detention basin, not only for the purposes of the Leominster Shirley Road runoff, but for our own purpose, we took a look at the detention basin. We see that it hasn't been maintained for a number of years. So really what we're looking to do is to remove the growth of phragmites. We're not planning on there's a perimeter of trees around the outside of the detention basin as well. We're not planning on taking down those trees. We want to keep that screening there. There may be a few shrubs and things of that nature that will come down, but we're looking to use a long arm excavator, probably from 2 access locations, one off Leominster Shirley Road and another that will probably be right in this area here. And that's the access road that goes back up into the PJ Keating property. So we'll probably, just push this stone aside, push that aside, and we'll reach in with the long arm excavator here. Our operators are, long time, 25, 30-year operators of these equipment. They're excellent at it. We're going to ask them to scrape off, take the phragmites out, and then begin to, carefully scrape down to get the what will clearly be the accumulated sediments over the years. Whether we hit hydric soils or whatever native soils may be underneath that layer of sediment, then that's as deep as we go. We're not trying to get it any deeper than it was historically when it was first built. And we don't know this for certain, I'll be honest, we don't know if it's stone lined. I don't believe the bottom of it's stone lined. I believe they pulled out material and made a detention basin at the time. But once we hit what would readily appear to be, a hydric darker soil, that will remain in place. We're not looking to pull out anything that would be considered a virgin material here. just purely what's been built up over the years. And we will have a dump truck parked right on the access road. The long arm excavator will reach in, turn, dump into the truck. And once the truck is filled up, then shortly up the road here is our recycling. So if we continue down this access road, we get into the backyard of our recycling area where we recycle asphalt, shingles, concrete, excuse me. And we also have areas that we would call like a mixed, it's some soils. Rob can speak to it a little bit better than I can, just exactly what's made up in that pile, but that's where we will be disposing of the material that we remove from the detention basin. It's completely segregated off. There's no runoff into any wetland areas or anything from our recycle area. It's pretty well cordoned off. We'll make sure that we don't have any material leaving where the final resting place for this material will be. We also propose to, since there's the line that goes under the access road, during the excavation process, we will put hay bales and silt fence in front of the pipe that exists. And let me just again show you that. Whoops, let me just pull this over a little bit. So here we'll put in silt fence and hay bales as well. And just so that during our process, we don't get any material coming through this pipe. Okay. We also, to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, we also are going to look at this pipe as well to see if it also has sediment in it. If it does, then we would propose to jet that sediment out while we have the equipment there as well. But we would obviously collect that material and take it out. But if this is half full of sediment, it only makes sense to clear it out now. But this pipe is in good condition because I've seen it run in the past. But it's the other pipe that might need to be replaced. So that, I think, kind of talks about what the process will be. It'll be a very careful long arm excavation process right into the truck. We're not gonna put any soils on the access path or anything like that. Boom, we'll bring that up, dump, come back and continue on. We don't expect it, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't expect it to take any longer than a couple days actually to clean this out.
Correct. That's what we're looking at.
Comments or questions from commissioners? Comments or questions from members of the public? Anna, do you have any comments on this application?
I do not.
Okay. I would just remark that normally we get a diagram that shows what the limit of work is going to be and where the erosion controls are going to be and stuff like that. But since you're digging out a detention basin, I'm not sure erosion controls make a lot of sense here, except for the one place where you outlined, where the pipe goes under the access path. So I guess I'm willing to entertain a motion here. It's an RDA.
I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the RDA with a negative determination.
Thank you, Mary. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mike?
Oh, we have 2 seconds. Roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself.
Well, PJ Keating, thanks to commissioners very much. We appreciate it.
I have one personal question before you leave.
Yes, sir.
Do you know when the paving group will start returning phone calls?
Okay, so obviously you've had some bad experience there.
Well, I called them on a different matter about 3 or 4 weeks ago and haven't gotten a call back. So, but I assume they're off for the winter.
Well, they're off, but they're in the office, but I can get somebody to call you back, but it shouldn't have taken that. So
All right.
I apologize for that.
All right. Well, that's a personal matter. It's nothing to do with conservation business. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That is our last public hearing. New business, update on Timber Rights Fund. Last night, or not last night, on Monday night, the planning board approved a motion to once again grant the Conservation Commission use of this year's free 8 GIS hours at the Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission. So it's highly likely that we will not need to spend that $600 that we put into that purchase order. So that's great news. And that's all I have to say about that. Earth Day 2023. That's Mary.
That is me, Mr. Chairman. So,
Yeah. Miss Ambitious.
yet again, I'm approaching the commission now from the inside instead of the outside, but with some ideas around Earth Day. And I actually kind of taken the initiative and reached out to the Parks and Recreation Commission as well, Anna Lockwood, because I had some visibility that they had done some Earth Day events in the past, and I thought it might make sense to, make certain that we were kind of joining forces for the town instead of kind of dividing or, allowing there to be a perception that we were divided. Anna's very enthusiastic about doing something for Earth Day. Parks has some, different interests in that than maybe we might have as a commission. And so one of the things that we had kind of been brainstorming around and, again, just kind of throwing out ideas, and she has to work within her commission. And of course, I want to have the, support from this team here. But what we thought is maybe it might be better to have a series of events kind of scheduled throughout the month of April on different dates and different times, different properties, because Earth Day is inconveniently co-located with school holidays. And so scouts tend to be away doing their spring camps. A lot of times families are away traveling that might otherwise want to participate, right? So we felt like if we were able to get like a short list for Conservation Commission, a short list for parks, that we could, work with the Lunenburg Ledger, maybe social media, try to drum up some interest, see where the interest is, right? And then try to set up some different dates for people to participate, not always have it on a Saturday, not always have it on a Sunday, maybe even be able to do something, in an afternoon after school or whatnot, depending on where the public's interest was. So what does this team think about that? I see some nodding of heads. I don't see anybody pulling out their hair. That's good.
It all sounds very good, Mary. Hope it all comes together. That sounds good.
And do we have any properties that we particularly think might need some attention? I mean, I know of a few, but the ones that I think are in the most urgent need of attention don't have parking. So we can't really have, like, Table Rock, can't really have 10 cars show up there. That would cause other problems. We had a good.
That's very true. That is the property that's in most in need of attention. And there is almost zero parking there.
Yeah. And we had a good turnout at the Lane property last year, but we had a good turnout. We pulled a lot of rubbish out of the forest. You know, so maybe and I walk down there a lot. I haven't seen a big accumulation of stuff. We had a good turnout at Rob's Hill last year, pulled a lot of rubbish out of the forest. There hasn't been, luckily, and knock on wood, hasn't been, you know, any other big problems, you know, like usual parking areas pick up a little bit of refuse. Mike, is there any opportunity at the pollinator habitat to have like a, you know, a day where people show up and do stuff there?
I'm sure there would be. Once again, I couldn't tell you exactly what needs could be. We can certainly speak to Jenny Albertson and the rest of the team there. What is or when is Earth Day this year? Do you know? I know you're trying to spread it.
Yeah, Earth Day, I think, is the third Sunday in April. And what we would like to do is just like maybe between the beginning of April and Earth Day, have some scattered event days. So if, you know, if you would be willing to talk to Jenny and the pollinator habitat volunteers and see if there's like a list of things that they would want to do, and maybe if, you know, we could, I can coordinate with them, or you or both of us, right, on, you know, if they're volunteers that express an interest in the pollinator habitat, we can coordinate a day, and maybe they could, you know, be there and be like the local lead, right, and get people out, you know, mowing mowing the trails or weeding the beds or whatever it is that needs to happen to kind of get things, you know, on a good foot for the spring.
Well, we know the mower's ready to go. It's been serviced and it's been in its the sacred place over the winter. So yeah, I'm sure we could come up with some fun things for people to do. And I don't know, I'm a big Chotki kind of guy. So if there's any way to get a T-shirt to commemorate the endeavor, and just to make this a big deal, I don't know who would do T-shirts or who would design that, but that's just something I think would be great, especially if we're gonna plan on doing this year after year. People could look forward to a coveted T-shirt for helping during Earth Day. This is my suggestion.
I think it's a great suggestion. I think we're a little short of time this year. Just because, you know, getting a design, getting it, you know, T-shirts procured, figuring out funding and everything, right? I think maybe we're short of time. I was thinking about this as I, you know, my January was filled with writing grants for some commission somewhere. I don't know what. It just seemed to fly by.
Very important, Mary. We thank you for that.
But maybe next year, maybe I put the tickler on for like, you know, December kind of time frame, right? Or maybe in November kind of time frame. And then we could think about doing, I would love to do some T-shirts. And I think that would be a draw. Particularly families with kids, right? And you know, one of the things that I think would be a really cool thing, but I wouldn't know how to fund it, is, you know, for families with little kids doing like a little scavenger hunt down at the Lane property where, you know, maybe they're going and each kid picks up one piece of trash, but then they go around and, you know, map where all the little dinosaurs are, and they come back and they get a T-shirt or some kind of, you know, little award for, you know, successfully finding all the dinosaurs in the forest or something like that. I think that'd be cool to get kids out in the forest and families out in the forest, right? And generate some, you know, enthusiasm for, you know, our own Jurassic Park down there, right? But then, you know, that I think would also feed into, as those kids get older and they, you know, want to help and recognize the value of having those properties, that we continue to, you know, be able to bring them out to help us with, you know, whatever the maintenance projects are or whatnot, because it is such a treasure that we have these properties. And I do think little things like that, T-shirts or, you know, little bitty trophies or whatever it is, I think would be great. But I do think we need a longer runway to plan it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
And I will
so,
get- I will
you-
get in touch with the pollinator habitat, Virginia, Albertson, and the rest of the team and see if there are any thoughts and ideas, then give us a list of what they think might be a good Earth Day project for kids or on that day.
families, individuals, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Okay, awesome.
Thank
Does
you.
anybody else have any ideas or brainstorms or anything around this?
Well, you could always be ripping out an Oriental bittersweet along the Mulpus Brook and on the Lane property.
There is a lot of that down there.
Yes, there is. On the
Enough
one
that,
hand, on the other
yeah.
hand, it's, I don't know how kid-friendly an activity that is, that it can get to be bulwark and dangerous, so.
Well, that's a good idea. I actually would like to start making some, it's on my goals list, which is kind of long. And you should feel some sympathy for my husband right about now. But, anyway, my goals list is long, and the invasive species that we have is a problem, and bittersweet along the Mulpus Brook is a big deal. And, when I walk down there, you can see they're huge vines that are weighing down and damaging some of the, trees that we have in that area that are otherwise lovely, lovely trees. I thought maybe I might see if I got some interest from one of the Boy Scout or Girl Scout troops, maybe we could get some down there to make a dent in the bittersweet. And on a separate note, I have been trying to find some grants that maybe we could apply for that might give us some funding to address some of that Japanese knotweed that's up in Table Rock as well. But I haven't really tripped across anything that looks particularly promising. So if anybody sees anything, you want to send it my way, right, for us to put on the dream sheet, I would love to, take a funder up on some of that opportunity, because we do have a lot of Japanese knotweed up in Table Rock. So if everybody is amenable to this, I would like to request permission to go ahead and start advertising with the Ledger. Now, I haven't talked to the Ledger. Last year, they gave us some spots for free. And I'm hopeful that they will this year, but of course that's their prerogative. But assuming that we can get some promo for free, I'd like to get permission to go ahead and start at least advertising. I've taken the liberty of creating a Gmail account. I'm not leveraging last year's Gmail account because I had that as Lunenburg Conservation Commission centric. And since this year we're proposing a joint effort with Parks, I've just made it a Lunenburg.mass Earth Day Gmail account, but I'd like to, direct people to start responding there so that we can kind of gauge interest, and then sort of start figuring out like what kind of people we might have and figure out what kinds of, days and events we might want to organize.
Would you like a motion, Mary, or is a consensus tonight good enough? Or would you like us to make a motion?
I think a consensus is enough.
Well,
we're not-
I certainly think it's a great idea, and I applaud your enthusiasm and energy.
I second that.
All right.
I agree.
As do I.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. I haven't reached out to Lunenburg Ledger yet, and I'm
Well, I'm
off
sure Pam will
snowmobiling.
be receptive.
She always has been a very good a
Yep.
good supporter in the past.
Yep.
But I will, so we'll miss next week definitely, but I'll try to reach out as soon as I get back from snowmobile, and I will we'll go from there, but hopefully be able to get something in the following week.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
Good work, Mary.
You were,
you.
yes, Mary. you were copied on an email I sent that I haven't gotten any response to about a new app called Nearmap. Nearmap is before we go on, I want to make sure we have 3 members of the public that are still with us, Ryan Proctor, Dan Proctor, and Jay Simeone. I wanted to make sure that we're not holding them up, that they're not waiting for something to come up farther on down the line. Is there an administrative determination or a notice of project change or something farther down in the agenda?
Mr. Chair, Ryan Proctor here. We're here for an extension of an order of conditions for 1325 Mass Ave, as well as a red line site plan change to the same project.
Well, then I think we'll take that up next. And how about Dan or Jay? Are you guys here for something special?
I'm just listening to my son make his presentation for the piece of land that I own.
All right, and I know Jay sometimes.
Just listening.
All right, you're more than welcome, Jay.
Thank you.
All right, and so let's, if no one objects, let's take up the notice of project change for 1325 Mass Ave, and then we'll go back to our agenda.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just again, for the record, I'm Ryan Proctor. I'm with Dillis and Roy. I'm here representing the owners of the property and my parents, Dan and Jean Proctor. And with your permission, I'll just share my screen here so you all can see. All right. Can everyone see the site plan here on the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so just to give a very brief history of the project, the site is located at 1325 Mass Ave. It's on the corner of Mass Ave and Townsend Harbor Road. This project appeared in front of your commission approximately 3 years ago, and the commission issued an order of conditions for the construction of a stormwater management basin, which is located partially in the 100-foot buffer zone, which I am tracing right now with my cursor. And the stormwater management basin at the time had been designed to accommodate a future commercial development of the property, which was the ultimate intended use of the site. So I'm going to fast forward 3 years. The stormwater management basin that was approved initially has since been constructed and is stabilized with lumen seed. And the applicants have been working through the planning board process. Actually, the planning board just granted site plan approval and a stormwater permit on Monday night. So the final commercial development of the site has been defined. And through working with the planning board and their peer review engineer, there were a few comments relative to the stormwater design that required some minor modifications within the 100-foot buffer zone, which I've drawn here in orange. So the 2 modifications we are proposing are both at the inlets to the basin. At the inlet closest to Massachusetts Avenue, we are proposing some additional riprap at the end of an existing drainage culvert, which was part of the initial approved design from 3 years ago. And we are also proposing a second riprap berm adjacent to one that's existing now to provide additional total suspended solids removal and pretreatment of stormwater. And that was a comment directly from the planning board process through the town's peer review engineer. And the second change we're proposing is the construction of a second sediment forebay, which is just inside the 100-foot buffer zone. Again, that is to provide pretreatment of stormwater associated with the final stormwater design of the property, associated with the commercial development of the site. So those are the 2 changes. I've circled them there in red. And along with those red line changes, we are requesting for a 2-year extension of the order of conditions, which is set to expire in May of this year. That's all I have to say. I wanted to be brief, so I'm happy to take any questions or comments that you may have.
And so if I have it right, the specific request tonight is a request for a 2-year extension of the order of conditions, and B, a request for these 2 changes that are within the 100-foot buffer in part of your detention basin that you just outlined. Is that correct?
That's correct. And when we eventually file for a certificate of compliance, these red line changes will be reflected on that plan.
Okay, Anna, do you have any comments or suggestions about this?
I do not.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions from members of the commission? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve the changes in the project and the 2-year extension of the orders of conditions.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself.
All right, thank you. And I did notice that you have this project on as the notice of project change as well. I'd be happy to give a quick summary of where we stand with that as well. Right below the
I
extension
thought that's
request.
what
on
we
the
just
agenda.
did. That wasn't what we just did?
The notice of project change was a result of the MIPA filing we had done a few years
Yep.
ago. So we had filed the notice of project change, providing a summary of the commercial development of the site along with the constructed stormwater basin. And they just got back to us last week saying that we did not need to file an EIR or an environmental impact report, saying that the stormwater controls have been properly designed to accommodate that future development of the site. That's very brief overview, but your commission received a copy of that notice of project change, so I believe that's why that's on the agenda.
Okay. Ryan, how long have you been with Dillis and Roy?
5 years in May,
Oh, congratulations. This is the
Yep.
first time you appeared before us, so
I believe so.
well, that I'm aware of. You maybe, well, that's not before my time, so but anyway, well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You betcha.
Thank you for moving us forward, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman. I appreciate it.
You bet.
All right,
Sorry,
have a
I'm
good
not
night,
doing it
everyone.
before. I didn't notice you guys were still there.
No worries. Have a
No
good night.
problem.
Yep. Back to our agenda. So Nearmap is an application, is an app that Mary brought to my attention that gives superior aerial photos. And the town has purchased it through the assessor's office and they have a subscription. And I initially reached out to Adam Byrne. He says, oh, you're not gonna be able to use that. But when I reached out to Nearmap, they said, oh, that would be no problem whatsoever. You'll be able to add your 7 members at no extra charge and no extra fees and no hassle. So once we do that, because it'll, you know, when we have people appear before us and they say, oh, there were never any trees there, I haven't changed anything. Some years they have 3 different sets of aerial photos, all in the same year. So we'll really be able to get more granular, aerial photo history, of these application sites. But I'm still waiting to hear back, and I have to go rattle some cages tomorrow to see where we are with that. Mary, anything new on the grant application? I'm assuming not.
No, nothing new on the grant application. Not the one we just submitted, and no progress on the one that the Snow Riders had
Yep.
just gotten approved. I'm the slow mover there. I'm working on doing that, finalizing that consultation submittal with the what is it, the NHESP person.
I can never remember that acronym because I can never remember what it stands for.
It's a mouthful. I don't remember what it, every time I look it up, I go, oh yeah, that's what it stands for. And then 5 minutes later, can't remember what it stands
Yeah,
for.
because it makes no sense that it's heritage when it's an endangered species,
Right. Yeah, exactly. But the bottom line for the snowmobiler one is that for all of the Conservation Commission projects that we were lined up, the snowmobilers are lined up to do as their 20% grant. The majority of them are in rare and endangered species habitat. So we would not be able to use any motorized vehicles in those areas between the 15th of March and the 15th of October. Which cuts down our window of operation from being able to execute on that from 24 months to about 6 months over the course of the grant.
Ouch.
Yeah, but still I think is doable because Snowmobile Club, those guys really just, once they have an action plan, they make it happen.
And also don't forget, you didn't count in your grant application that the the money that the Conservation Commission will contribute to buy the materials.
That's
for-
correct, right? So we may
and so
not need as
that'll
many
cut down
hours.
on the need to do all those 20% things as part of the grant, so.
Right, yeah, that'll cut down on the matching hours as well. But since after I talked to, and honestly, the state biologist was wonderful when I talked to her. She was very supportive, very informative. But you know, with the understanding that we weren't be able to use motorized vehicles of any kind after the 15th of March, I knew I wouldn't be able to do the submittal and get her to turn around an opinion. So
Yeah.
it kind of moved to my back burner
Yeah.
at that point.
So you can't do it in the summer? You can only
No.
do it,
You can only do it when the salamanders and turtles are dormant.
oh my goodness, all right,
Yes.
okay. Any updates, Anna, on our encroachments? We heard from anybody else?
Yes, so let's see, I have heard from 315 Lancaster Ave. The homeowner called last week, and of course the response was they were unaware.
Yeah,
And what they're going to do is try to get a better idea of their property lines. And so they're gonna get their property surveyed, and then they're gonna move all the shed and the objects in the yard closer to springtime, hopefully when like more of the snow like goes away and it's not completely muddy, which probably is gonna be a while because it's a little bit later of a winter that we're having. But yes, so that was 315 Lancaster Ave. That responded, and then let's see, that's it. And then the 26 Mulpus, we're having that still on just because they have the shed that still needs to be taken down. But
Yeah.
the other two properties I haven't heard anything from.
so we're down to 2 properties then that we haven't heard from.
Yes,
All right, this is getting more manageable.
yes.
Excellent, thank you so much. That's great
problem.
news.
Yep.
I'd have to go back and review Adam Costa's original letter to see what the timeline was he had in it. When we get to the timeline, then we'll have to go back and talk with Adam Costa again about, you know, what next steps are. I'll have to see if I can't convince him to send a firmer letter without having a survey. So, because if we need a survey, then we'll have to go with hat in hand to the Board of Selectmen, asking them to fund the survey, and this is not the time to be going to ask the Board of Selectmen for funds, given everything else that's going on in town. Any updates on Hollis Road?
I was hoping to get 2 of the vendors in to measure that bedroom. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that it's school vacation. So the tenant has not been available in order to get anyone in, but I'll try to work on it this week and hopefully we'll get them in there because we only have 1 firm estimate. I'd like to have 2 more. And in order to do that, I need to have them come in and measure the space. And hopefully we'll have that shortly. I did want to find out with Anna, we did get a email from Julie Bellevaux about a statement on the windows from J&R Glass. And it wasn't clear whether we need to do anything more than what we've already done in order to pay them for the work that they have done. And perhaps Anna could fill us in tonight if she could on what we need to do, or have we done what we need to do as far as either vote on an invoice that I think we've already had approved, so it may not be necessary, but I'll have her speak. And that's all I have at this point.
Thank you, Michael. Anna, do you have anything, any additional information about an invoice on the windows?
Yes, so as far as the invoice, we don't have to vote on because we got the invoice in the office. We would just pay that out. But in order to pay out an invoice, we need a PO for that company, and we don't have a PO for J&R Glass. So I guess we could vote on getting a PO or approve to get a PO for J&R.
And I thought we had done that once upon a time, Mike. Did we not?
Well, I was talking to Rebecca when she was in the office, and I asked her to look to see if we had a PO for that company, and she didn't see anything in regards to them.
I understand, but Mike, did we approve sometime in the past, using J&R Glass to replace the windows?
We actually did, and I thought too that it probably was approved. So when I got the email, I was kind of befuddled on, gee, didn't we already do this? But
Well, probably, that may have been a while ago. That may, and probably I didn't go in the office and follow up and specifically say we need to create a purchase order. So let me fall on my sword here and just so we take a suspenders and belt approach. Let's vote. I'm looking for a motion to approve a purchase order for J&R Glass to pay this invoice.
so moved.
Second,
All right, roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
aye.
Richard,
Aye.
and I for myself. And Mike, I just want to remind you that the next project that comes up there,
Yes,
I want us to take and have a meeting with Chris Ruth about it,
Okay.
and see if we can't get him to do it rather than you.
okay.
Um,
I'm all for getting as much help as possible, getting stuff done at Hollis Hills Road.
It's been fabulous the way you've gotten so much done there, Mike, and it's very appreciated, but it is kind of above and beyond what the Conservation Commission is supposed to be doing, so
Okay, I hear you.
you know. Balance on Hawes Gift Fund, Rebecca Manley gave me the information I needed to be able to produce such a report, but I just haven't done it yet. What's this administrative determination, 19 Island Road, Anna, educate us.
Yes, so this is a Hickory Hills property. And so Bill Hudson had come forward with it was technically two different properties, but for now, this is just the one property. It's the beach area. And let me just share my screen so I can show you the picture of what, it says.
Oh, I think I might have shut screen sharing off to shut down the last, let me turn, screen sharing is now back on.
All right, so the determination is for this one white pine that is in the beach area is within the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone, definitely closer to the 100 foot. But I'm surprised it's still like in the ground. But that's the nice thing about white pines. They have a nice big taproot instead of roots that kind of spread out. This tree in particular poses a pretty good threat in the sense of it's leaning very much, and a lot of the limbs had fallen, and also these other pines have lost their limbs as well. But as I was observing the tree, there's a lot of dead limbs coming down. Just the whole beach area is like covered in white pine limbs. That's just the nature of white pines. But this tree, I'm very surprised that it's still just in the ground and hasn't popped up out of the ground. It's at an abnormal angle. And so they're just proposing to remove this tree on this Hickory Hills property.
And do you have a recommendation, obviously?
I recommended that they could definitely remove this tree.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
For a motion. Or is there any discussion first?
So, Mr. Chairman, just as a point of clarification, we think it's in the 50?
No.
No, outside of the
between 50 and
50.
100,
Okay, okay,
closer to the 100 than the 50.
okay. I understand. Thank you.
At least that's what I heard her say.
Yes, that is correct. It's closer to the 100 foot buffer zone.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Katie. Do we have a
You're
second?
welcome.
Second, Mike,
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
aye for myself. We already did the Mass 125 Mass certificate compliance, none. Mass Ave and violations. We think we just did 48 Oak Ridge tonight, right?
Yes, so 48 Oak Ridge, that was the RDA submittal.
So we can cross that one off.
Yep, and then the Pine Grove, that one's on for next meeting.
Okay,
are-
and 23 Cove, we're just waiting for them to finish taking their thing down.
Yep,
And the 205 Sunset,
yep. So previous meeting, I said that Seth from Dillis and Roy had contacted me saying they're still finalizing their plans. And then Marsha Beers, the property owner, had emailed me on Monday, pretty much saying the same thing, that Dillis and Roy still haven't gotten back to them with the final plans. So it's still a waiting period of the finalized plans for that property.
okay. Thank you so much. Howard Street driveway, I think I sent everybody a bill. Bill, the head of DPW, Bill Bernard, head of Department of Public Works, obtained 4 quotes. I think the cheapest quote was like 6 or 8 grand, some such number. He said he thought they might be able to do it in June when they move money around between accounts. And I said, well, I'd bring it back to the committee, and he said, or maybe the commission could pay for it. My initial reaction would be, we would take and wait till June and hopefully, he could just pay for it out of his budget, which seems to me to be entirely appropriate since we already spent $2 grand on an engineered plan for this thing. But do we have any contrary views? Anybody wanting to pay for this from commission funds?
Mr. Chairman, I would prefer to wait until June. As most everybody's aware, we don't really have any parking for the public up in that area. So I feel like there's not an urgent need to provide that access.
Yeah, it's except that I still I agree with you, Mary. And I am advocating that we wait till June. I am anxious to get it in though, because you can't even really, it's not easy to even walk in there now, or cross country, try and go in there with cross country skis or even clamber up over the stone wall when you're trying to walk on that trail is not
100% agreed. And for the
easy or
local
safe.
member of the public that would want to try to get in that area, it's prohibitive. I agree, but I feel like June is a reasonable time to wait.
So do
Even
I.
if you tried to find a contractor, you'd probably be hard pressed to get on their schedule before June anyway.
Excellent point. Hearing no other comments, I'm going to move on to timber sales. Nothing new. Conservation land improvements. Nothing new there. Hawes bird study. We have to do a bird study of the bobolinks up there. I had asked John Jones, who readily agreed, and he's already given us a publication by Mass Audubon on best practices for managing a field to promote, nesting birds. And 2 members of this commission expressed interest in, participating in that study, Mike and Mary. Mary has reached out and John said, well, we need a meeting of the people who are involved, so we can get organized. And Mary's already reached out to him. Mike, I'd appreciate if you could reach out to him and copy Mary on it so that you guys could get organized without my participation.
Okay,
Does that work for you?
I won't be available until the 19th of this month.
And that's and this isn't gonna get started for quite a while, so.
Yeah,
Did he
it's-
mention April or something?
Yeah, that's one of the key things I kind of wanted to know is it a next weekend kind of thing, or is it
No.
something that's a few months
No,
away? And he
I
kind
think
of,
it's like in May.
yeah,
Right.
that's what he thought, late April, May kind of time frame. So
Well-
I think we have time
I
to,
think we have plenty of time, but every time I see John, he says, well, can you organize a meeting? And I'm not interested, very frankly, in organizing a meeting between the three of you, so I was hoping you guys could self-organize.
I have my binoculars and I'm ready to go, so I'll
Super.
be glad to connect with John Jones and let him
Excellent.
know the same.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike.
You're welcome.
And Mary, thank you for already reaching out to him.
sure.
All right. I mentioned this to Mary, but I think the bridge up there, Mary has already gone up and repaired the bridge up at the
Well, we put in a stopgap up at Hunting Hills.
Hunting Hills.
Me and a friend went up and put 4 sticks of 2x6s up there to kind of stabilize the worst part of it and allow foot traffic. And we also, since we were up there anyway, so we could have used another 4 sticks, but we didn't happen to bring that with us. But we did have a box of screws. Thank you, Bob. So we went and secured some of the other timbers that were, at least in some reasonable shape. We got those secured so they're not as wobbly and stuff. And as soon as it's a little bit fairer out, I'll get back up there with 4 more sticks of 2x6s and get those secured. So we've got a stable platform for foot traffic and or mountain bike traffic going across that. And that'll give us time to figure out what to do for a long-term solution.
Yeah, sometime in the next year, I want to look into trying to obtain 3 more telephone poles and put all new decking on it. It's a telephone pole bridge with the goal, but I think it'd be reasonable to wait until the bird study is done. Basically, I think if you look at the best practices, they're going to say we should wait until August before haying it, but I still want to be able to get somebody in there right at the beginning of the year to cut around the edge of the field so people can walk up there without, worrying about ticks. Typically we had a volunteer, somebody who lives over on Mulpus Road, who would go up there and, just cut the perimeter of the field. So, visitors to the place, could walk around without wading through, thigh-high grass. And get from point A to point B. And so I'm going to be doing that again. So, but.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
If I
sir.
might add,
Ma'am.
ticks are already out. I'm already getting them off of my dog.
Yeah. Any committee reports? Any communications or public comment? Any comments from commissioners? It's 8:50. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we have 2 motions. I'll take one of them as a second. Roll call. Katie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
I for myself. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Good
All
night.
right.
All right,
Good night.
thank you, Jay, for hanging in there.